Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Joining me today is Gene Billingsley from GMT. Thanks a lot, Gene, for stopping by. I really appreciate taking the time to do so.
You're most welcome, Mo. Happy to help.
Quick question. First off, is everybody wants to know what's the status of Mr. President?
Well, believe it or not, it's rolling at last.
Really?
Yeah, about 4 months ago, I finished the design pieces of it and handed it off to Mike Berticelli and all his team. And they spent the last 4 months doing making a whole bunch of items that just make it easier to enter into the game.
Okay.
You know, there's a Flipbook now that will walk a new player through, and Mike's been testing that at shows. And somebody will come up and say, "Can I play Mr. President?" You say, "Okay, but I'm going to give you a 5-minute intro, and then I'm going to hand you the Flipbook."
Nice.
And, you know, the rules that go with that. And so far, everybody's been able to play it. So they've taken what is, you know, it's really like a monster solitaire game, right? It's being president's big.
Yeah.
You know, in that game, it's got a world map and a domestic map, and you're thinking about 18 things all the time. So it's big, which I think makes it really fun from a strategy game point of view.
Sure.
But it also makes the barrier to entry high.
Oh, yeah.
And so I love working with Mike and his team. If you've seen Tank Duel, you know what they've done with ease of entry sort of things, making it easier for you to get in. And that's what they're doing with Mr. President now.
Okay.
So the last thing I heard, I'm not in charge of schedule. Once I hand it off to Mike, I'm not in charge anymore.
Sure.
He's working with Mark Simonich. We're getting some artists on it. So we're going to see this heading to the art department sometime over the coming quarter or so, I think.
So when do you think we may see it? Guesstimate.
I always hate to do that, but I would guess next summer.
Next up, wow, that's great. Yeah, because I know we've seen the iterations of it over the years, but that Flipbook idea is great because that's something that is used, a lot of people have made for like the D-Day series, because it's kind of like that too. It's very procedural, so it's one of those things where you got a 30-40 page rule book, but you have to learn all the procedures, all the mechanics. Exactly. It's easier if you do it step by step with the Flipbook. It's the same thing. So you're doing that with Mr. President makes it much more easier.
Yeah, and it gives me a level of confidence. I think I've always been confident that the design itself, at least confident that it's the game I want it to make.
Sure.
So when I play it and when my 2 kids play it, it may just be because they love me, but they like it, you know?
Yeah.
And everybody really I've showed it to who I taught them how to play, they liked it.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really nervous about, does the design deliver? And it's so replayable. You know?
That's excellent.
Mark Herman told me there's like 8 billion different card combinations. I think it's okay to call it replayable. You know, in marketing.
Absolutely.
So I don't have worries about that, but I've had this nagging worry about how easy it is to get into. You know, that barrier of entry.
Now, the other thing too is something like that, because you know the world's evolving all the time. You could always revisit it in future years with expansions.
Absolutely. And when I first started this project 5 years ago, right? I had. There was somebody who was helping me, John Welch was helping me as kind of a design assistant, and he was going to take charge of those things going forward. He's kind of not in the hobby right now. So I'm kind of looking for that person or those people. I think I'm tired of Mr. President for now. I mean, you know, you work on something that long and you're like, I want to do something else. But we do have some good team members, and a couple of them I've identified as guys that might do other games in the series. Certainly, as you said, the capabilities there to do kind of what Trevor is doing for the Labyrinth game with periodic updates.
Sure.
It would not be a hard thing systemically to put new card sets in.
Yeah.
You know, we might say you put these in, you take these out.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. Yeah.
But the deck building part of it, you use about 60% of the cards in any given game, which makes it even more replayable and fun. So adding more to that mix over time, I'll have to think about it.
Sure.
But I don't think it'll be a hard thing.
Now, do you have any other designs swirling around in your head right now you'd like to work on next, or no? You want to just step back and just be president of GMT for a while?
I do have another design that's in my head that I'm trying to tell my head to be quiet for a while. But you know, I always tell the guys, our designers who come to me and say, what should I do next? I'm like, you know me, I don't give assignments.
Yeah.
What are you passionate about? What are you reading? What are the things that really drive you?
Yeah.
If you love something, then that labor of love is going to show through in the final product. So there's something I've been thinking, I don't want to talk about it yet, but there's something I've been thinking about for a long time. It's kind of like I did with Mr. President.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, I don't think I'm going to do another game this big.
Oh, well, can't blame you on that.
Right? And you know, my kids are telling me, Dad, you know, that this really takes a lot away. And
Sure.
what happened is I always prioritize GMT,
Yeah,
which is why
yeah,
it took so long.
Yeah.
You know, but it was intensely frustrating. You design for a while, and then sometimes I wouldn't touch a game for 3 months.
Yeah.
Because stuff was going on, I had to pay attention to
Too much, yeah. It's hard to balance that being the president with designing Mr. President.
Yeah. It's a juggling act.
Yeah.
So I think what I do next is going to be a little smaller and more manageable.
Sure. Well, that sounds good. Now, two last things. One is this year you started the Facebook group, and that's
Right.
grown really just super fast and exponentially over time. Talk a little bit about that with people who may not be aware of it. If you're not, I don't know where you've been on Facebook.
Come hang out in our Facebook group. We started that. It was something I didn't feel like I had the bandwidth to handle. I'm getting older and getting a little bit wiser about what to hand off and whatnot too. So we built a team of 4 people. My son Luke, who started working with us last February. My daughter Rachel, who runs Inside GMT and kind of runs the marketing department with me. And then Mitch Land, who's our webmaster and also a designer of some great games. The Next War series.
Next War series.
I wouldn't trust very many people to continue a series that I started.
Yeah.
And Mitch has done that now.
He's
and
great
done
job,
a great job, right? But he also is very savvy with tech, and he's good with people.
Yeah.
And sometimes in a group, you have to manage expectations, and how you treat people matters. So whoever I put in charge of those things, I want them to make sure that they do the people right. So Mitch is there, and also Joel Toppin.
Yes. Yeah.
So those are 4 really nice human beings, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But they also believe, like I do, that we're going to have an online group, and it's not going to be Pollyanna, like everything's perfect every day, but we're going to talk about what's good. We're going to share what we like. And that doesn't mean people can't ask questions and say, hey, why'd you do this?
Sure.
But it does mean you don't have an environment where you say, hey, why'd you do this, you stupid so-and-so.
Sure.
You know, and we just treat each other with basic respect.
Yeah. Keep toxicity out of it.
Right. I think they've managed to do that in a way that people feel respected and they feel heard. But we're going to keep an environment where people can share their love of this hobby.
No, it's fantastic. And it is like I said, if you've not been on the Facebook group, you definitely need to get out to that Facebook group because it's a great one to be part of. Last thing, as a publisher, where do you see the future of wargaming going as we see the fusion of Euros and war games? I talked to Volko and Mark about it. I wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Well, I think first I should just say that whatever they said, I agree with, because they're both smarter than me. So
I agree.
I don't know, really, Mo. I guess if I did, I'd make the big bucks, right? I'll tell you this: I like what I see. You know, a lot of people say GMT is a war game company. I've never thought that, really. I think we're a strategy game company. We have strategy games that are hex and counter war games.
Sure.
We have strategy games that are coin games. We have strategy games that are card-driven games. We've got strategy games that are Euro games. You know, all
absolutely.
kinds. And the culture that we've created here at GMT, anyway, I can't really speak broader, is that there's a lot of cross-pollination.
Yeah.
And it's encouraged. The designers are very generous with their systems, with their time. There's a lot of sharing, which helps us get better faster, I think. It also means that you see war game mechanics in Euro games and Euro game mechanics in war games. Yeah. I think that's going to accelerate. But from our side, we have right now 62 design teams, and those designers they represent a very broad, for our hobby, group of interests.
Sure.
And so just imagine, you know, if the charge they have is do what you love, do what you're passionate about right now, then we're probably going to see a lot more hex and counter games from Mark Simonich, for example, because he loves that. And he's really good at it. Our customers love him. I'm in a position now where we can really meet lots of people's wants and needs based on their aligning with what designers want.
Exactly.
And so I don't see any reason that kind of synergy in our company is going to stop. It's certainly something I'm trying to foster and encourage. And the designers seem to have bought into that.
Yeah, that's great.
So I think at least from a GMT side, we're going to see more of that.
And the other good thing about it from the gaming side of things, I'm seeing a lot more of the hobby, as I call it, the Euro hobby games, gamers asking about war games now. They're curious about them because they're seeing they're not just hex and counter. So we're seeing the scope widening a little bit which is great from, for your business to see more customers coming in.
Yeah, the funny thing about that to me is that, starting in 2001 with some Reiner Knizia games, we have tried to begin to broaden into the Eurogame market with a small part of our line. But it's funny, for all the dominant species games that we've done, which by the way is a great game, I think it's our third bestseller all time now.
That's great.
It was none of the Euro games that began to pull the Euro players. It was Twilight Struggle.
Twilight Struggle, yeah.
Yeah, so just something that has, for us, at least a very broad reach.
Sure.
That doesn't feel wargamey to a lot. In fact, the debate is always, is it or isn't it a wargame? And for the record,
it's a conflict
I don't
simulation.
care. As long as they buy it, I'm good.
Exactly.
So that's intriguing to me that's what did it.
Yeah.
But we're going to continue to try to play our part in that, and continue to not really purposely say, hey, we're going to create more Euro games, we're going to create more coin games, but organically, as the designers decide they want to do that, I think the natural result you're going to see is more and more broadening, more and more crossover.
Yeah, that organic, growth and change is really the best way to go, because if you try to force something, it generally will fail. So it's better for.
I don't do much forcing. It's just encourage.
Sure.
My dad told me when I was a kid, he said, he was talking about loyalty. He said, you can never force people to be loyal.
No.
What you can do is create a culture and an environment where they choose to be loyal every day.
That's true.
And I think that's true in just about any way that I could have an impact on an organization.
Yeah.
Try to work on the environment, the culture, make sure there's win-wins lined up all over the place. And generally good things happen.
Yeah, well, that's great to see, and we would love to see the continued success of GMT and all the games that are coming out.
Thank you.
We really appreciate the hours of fun that you guys bring us, and we're having a great time out there at Stalingrad 42 today and yesterday.
Mark did a great job.
He did a fantastic job on that. But I know you're a busy guy. I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and chat with us.
Absolutely.
And I hope you guys have enjoyed this conversation with Gene Billingsley from GMT. And if you have any comments or questions, post them down below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.
Thanks, everybody.